Former Prime Minister Boris Johnson visited the Auschwitz-Birkenau concentration camp today in Poland amidst a backdrop of rising anti-Semitism in the UK and Europe, which culminated with the Heaton Park synagogue attack in Manchester that left 2 Jews dead. Mr. Johnson joined Jewish leaders, European ministers and Holocaust survivors to mark the anniversary of Kristallnacht, the 1938 Nazi pogrom in Germany, which gave signal to the rise of anti-Semitism and hatred that eventually led to the unspeakable atrocities that were carried out here. Mr. Johnson was joined last night by Rabbi Daniel Walker from the Heaton Park Synagogue, who spoke fondly of the 2 victims, Melvin Kravitz and Adrian Dalbury, who were killed after the terror attack in Manchester. Mr. Rabbi Walker spoke about how he was fearful for the future of the Jewish community in Britain having to grow up behind a fence, and that the terrorist, when he attacked the synagogue, shouted, "You're killing our kids," in reference to the Gaza conflict. Mr. Johnson said it should be clear that there is no moral equivalence between what's happening between Israel and Hamas and anti-Semitism in the UK, and he asked for moral clarity from the British government to protect the Jewish community in Britain. At the symposium event last night, Mr. Johnson was awarded the King David Award for supporting the Jewish community, and Rabbi Margolin, the chairman of the European Jewish Association, said that things were so bad in Europe, rabbis were being trained Krav Maga, the Israeli defense art, to defend themselves, and that Jews were considering using tasers or carrying tasers and knives for their safety. Mr. Johnson cautioned against any communities arming themselves. However, he said that it was clear the British government needed to do more to combat anti-Semitism. And as we stand here, and as Mr. Johnson walks through past the huts in Auschwitz, where 1.1 million men, women and children were gassed and killed, it's clear that something like this should never happen again. To them in the UK and Europe, and obviously Rabbi Walker as well gave that very moving account of following the terror attack in Manchester. I mean, what does it mean to you coming here today, and why have you come to here today?
Just to show solidarity with the Jewish people, because I do think there is a rising tide of anti-Semitism, and I think it's deeply historically illiterate. And if you've only got to come here to see what happens when you ignore the warnings, and in the 30s people knew that anti-Semitism was brewing in Germany, and then they had Kristallnacht, and they had in 1938 and the pogroms, the attacks on synagogues, and it led ultimately to what you got behind us, this enormous gas chamber and crematorium. And today on the streets of Europe, I'm sad to say, even on the streets of the UK, you're seeing people responding to events in the Middle East with a demand for Israel to be wiped off the map. And you're seeing synagogues vandalized, you're seeing people being attacked for wearing kippah, the Jewish headgear. People need to remember where this leads, because anti-Semitism is like a virus that's always in the bloodstream of humanity, and it's been there for hundreds and hundreds of years. There was a massacre of Jewish people in London in 1066, 1492 in Spain, so, throughout history. Thousands of purges, thousands of persecutions of Jews, and it goes in waves. It's like a virus in our bodies. Sometimes it's in abeyance. For long periods it can be quiescent, and then it can come up again. I think we're going through a bad period. We're going through a period where we're seeing a resurgence.
And you spoke as well about the sort of moral clarity we need from the British government.
I think we need to call out anti-Semitism wherever we see it, and we need to stamp it out, because if you don't, then it will get worse. And it's just human beings are programmed to try to feel better about themselves by picking on somebody else. And they will find the other, whoever the other may be. And for most of recorded history, for centuries and centuries, the other has very often been the Jewish minority.